episodes is. Fuck it. What is up? What is up? We are back in black in the building. You already know who it is. It's your boy Warren G in the place to be. Been clowning sucker free since 2003, meaning you can't finesse me. Shout out to everybody out there that's melanated and highly favored. Shout out to everybody out there that's handling business. Look, y'all see me posting this shit. I'm doing some hood shit. Shout out to everybody out there that's doing what they need to do to survive, not being a sambo. Hayward Shepherd, tell him about the gun line. Steven from Django ass motherfucker. So shout out to all y'all motherfuckers. I know y'all out there and y'all do exist. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody out there that's trying to establish a system of justice, because that's what's most important. We have to establish that system right there. So shout out to everybody out there that's at the Court Plantation right now. Tasha, Shawnee, all y'all, if y'all at the Court Plantation, I fuck with y'all heavy. Yes, we are back in black in the building. Well, we ain't all black, but y'all know what the fuck it is. My boy Nick has made it back again. I don't know what episode this is, bro, but we gonna get into it, man. We gonna talk about a couple of things. We gonna talk about the Sambo Mammy TV show. That's what we gonna talk about. And we gonna explore what Kamala and Uncle Sambo, Tim Scott and Kamala, what they said about racism in America. And how they feel. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about how they relate to law enforcement and why law enforcement never seems to be held accountable. Even in death, they're not held accountable. So we're going to talk about all that shit. We're going to get into it, man. We got this clown ass shit down. Nick, man, what's happening, man?
What's going on, Warren?
Man, what's going on with you, man? What's going on?
Same old shit.
Man, how was your week, man? How's your week been, man?
It's good, man.
Man, it's good,
I
man.
can't complain.
Man. Hey, man, we gonna get into it, man. Man, what do you think about Kamala Harris and Tim Scott? Tim Scott basically was like, it ain't no fucking, ain't no racism. There's no racism in America. And what do you think about that? What do you think about that, period?
It doesn't surprise me. The only reason why it's a big deal really is because of Kamala, and she's black and shit. So if this was two white people, man, this wouldn't even be a topic. They wouldn't even have it on the news. But she's got a white dude as a husband. Both his kids are white.
Do you think that matters?
That definitely matters.
Why do you think that matters? Tell me, explain it to me. Why? Why do you think that matters?
Because some people don't want it to seem like they're putting their own family down, right? She probably got these two kids in her house, or they're back and forth between the two parents, or whatever it is. So it's almost like you're putting down half your family, or what you consider your family, or whatever. But Dr. Claude Anderson says that there's not a politician in this world, black or white, that's ever done anything for black people. So it really shouldn't be a surprise. I mean,
what I was having this conversation, I was talking to my brother too, and shout out to my sister too, man. Tasha, man, what's happening? She said some great things about what we trying to do, man. So I appreciate that. Her and Shawnee. So shout out to Shawnee too. And my sister was like, you know what she said? Cause I be reading it. Cause man, sometimes your Google email and the email servers sometimes be bullshitting and taking a long time. And then boom, I just got it at an odd time when I was getting ready to go to the Court Plantation, and I was able to read it for a second. And my sister said some real shit. I forgot to tell you this shit. She was just like, I blame all those motherfuckers. It was too many grown adults with what was her name? Bryant. Was it Kamaya Bryant? Kamaya Bryant. And she's right. I went back and looked at that video. It was a whole bunch of adults out there. Mm-hmm. She said, I blame everyone that was out there, as far as, why would y'all let that get out of control? That was a 14, 15-year-old kid. Somebody should have laid her down and got the knife. And I don't know who called the police. And she said, basically, why would y'all let that get out of control and then think that the police wasn't going to come there to shoot to kill? We already know that they're going to come to shoot to kill. And it was very like, it fucked with me for a second. Cause I was like, damn, man, she kind of right. Because when I went back and looked at it, I was just kind of like, okay, if this girl was getting jumped, we got to police each other. This ain't no sambo, no shit like that. What that police officer did was he endangered a lot of people. Remember when she was getting ready to stab the girl and he could have shot both of them. What if he'd have missed?
Only if you're policing your own community and it's a separate police union, man. If
Yes.
it's the same police union, it's not gonna really matter. It
Yes.
really ain't.
No, you
Because
right.
you got people that are promoting, escalating your pay, that are in charge of that shit, that are racist. You have motherfuckers that are in your bread, man. So it has to be a completely separate police union in order for that to work.
Why do you think that why do you think that has to be separate? Like, why does it have to be separate? Tell me, why do you think that it has to be separate? Because you just feel like it's so much bread involved that they not gonna change that shit?
If you got racist people at the top, and they're the ones that are really making the decisions for you, yeah, you're gonna have your very small few of cops that are going around like, hey man, we ain't gonna fuck with this dude. He just had, a sack of weed. Hey man, give me that shit. Get the fuck out of here. But for the most part, man, when you got white people at the top that are in control of what you do, it doesn't matter if the entire police station is black that are patrolling your things. You still have white people making like those wrong decisions for you, right? So they have to have their own thing. It goes back to the same thing, man. Socioeconomic, financial dependency on yourselves, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, as long as you're still trying to work in the white man's world, bro, it's never gonna work. And it doesn't really matter what type of system we're talking about, whether it's the policing, whether it's working at a fucking 7-Eleven. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, you're still working for white people that make the decisions that are going to affect what you do in your day-to-day.
No, you're right. Now look, a devil's advocate would say this. I'm gonna be the protagonist and antagonist. Mm-hmm. We'll do both. Okay. Now, if you were saying something from a person that worked in the Jim Crow days or worked in the Tulsa, Oklahoma days, they say, well, when we built our own shit, they just bombed us. They just killed us. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's what they would say. I think this generation is different. It's way too many smart young people. Mm-hmm. You got people coming out with apps every day, and investors and just people that knowing how to break down the game. This is what I think. I think that when you're dealing with a Kamala Harris and a Tim Scott, look at who these people are and who are placed in front of you. Mm-hmm. This is what I think. That's why when it comes to, in my personal opinion, when it comes to politicians, as Dr. Claude Anderson says, you lease or rent these. You're not supposed to like these politicians. Right. I think everybody thinks we're supposed to like Kamala Harris. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you notice,
with Obama, man.
Oh God, Obama was the worst. Did you see Umar Johnson's interview on The Breakfast Club? Mm-hmm. You got to check that out. It was a very good interview. He said he dropped some real jewels, and he just was basically like, Obama didn't do anything. Mr. Joe Biden came on The Breakfast Club and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. But you signed your first hate crime bill, an executive order for Asians. Now, let me ask you something, Nick. Just in the studies that you do, do the Asians really need a hate crime bill?
No.
What about, was it Lakeisha Harlins, that Asian woman who shot her in the back of the head because she was in the liquor store? This is like in 92. She got off. She didn't even go to jail.
Right. It was that white lady that's a judge that let her get off.
Yeah. That let her get off.
Yeah.
So, do they really need a hate crime bill passed for them? Do you really think that that's important for them to pass a hate crime bill for them?
So, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about right now? Hell no. But what I'm saying is there shouldn't be any hate. That's what people need to realize. There shouldn't be any hate. But if you're not going to, either fix or correct or do whatever the fuck you need to do for black people first, then we shouldn't be doing nothing for anybody. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah, so yeah, I think Asian people should, get what they deserve. No one should be hated on, but at the same time, if you're more focused on Asian Americans, if you're more focused on Armenians, if you're more focused on all these other people besides black people, then no, I don't think that anything should happen.
Do you think that the benign neglect is still in place? I think it is, because they got black people to vote, and then they don't even mention. It's like mention black folk. Yeah. But this is my thing, because when I was watching Kamala and all that, I'm like, I'm telling my brother, I'm like, and that's what all these dumbass motherfuckers get. I'm talking about black folk who was vote shaming people into voting to get Trump out, because Trump is just so bad. He's the boogeyman. Boo, 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 boo. He's Freddy Krueger. He's Jason Voorhees. We just got to get him out. Now you got him out, and then you got this person here This person ain't mentioned black folk. This person ain't signed no executive order for black folk. This person has not met with Dr. Claude Anderson or Ice Cube at all. But
And Dr. Claude Anderson changed his mind at the end. He had his last interview in the Breakfast Club, and he was like, you know what? Maybe you should vote for Biden just because there's been so many federal judges that Trump, has replaced or whatever. But at the same time, he was basically saying, like, you're only voting for him for not to get worse. It's not going to still get better.
It's not going to get better. My thing is this. It's gotten worse. Let me tell you why. Because now they have done a mass killing, so they'll mask it and have these mass shootings, right? Like, oh my God, it's mass shootings. And then the underlying tension is Anthony Brown, Andrew Brown. What's that other brother that just got shot because he had a weed warrant? Oh God, I forgot. I'm blanking on his name. Martin, I forgot his last name. Marvin, was it Marvin Scott or Marvin something? He got shot. And it was so funny because even my brother was like, damn, bro, your shit almost is like, what the fuck? How many people are getting killed a week? He said, every podcast, you got a new picture up with somebody that got shot and got killed. I'm like, bro, I don't even go looking for it.
Right.
It's just, boop, this person got shot. Boop, they shot this person in the head. Boop. And it's like,
what about that thing that we saw on CNN about the fucking the dude that went to prison for years and shit just because the computer identified him as the other brother, but you look at them, dude, they don't look nothing alike. They don't look
nothing alike.
Like, you could just stand side by side and be like, oh yeah, that's not him.
And they don't look nothing alike. No, that's a fact.
So
somebody was saying something about, you guys gotta, there is no racism. I tweeted, have you read the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander?
That's what I was gonna get to. I don't know if it's benign neglect. I don't know what it is, but I did say that there was something, man, going on just with regular white people from the 60s and 70s where they were just like, let's not say a motherfucking thing to our neighbors, to the dude that lives across town, nothing. We're gonna pretend like nothing ever happened. And that's the problem I see today, is that when you talk to white people about racism, they think that because they're not hanging black people from trees and calling people the N-word, that they don't have some form to do with racism.
Yes.
Right? They don't think they're benefiting from it.
Yep.
They don't think that there's still racism exists, because when they walk into a store, they're not getting watched walking through every aisle.
Yep.
So
what about when they go get a bank loan?
When they get pulled over, they're not getting harassed and having a gun drawn on them before they even approach the window. So of course police aren't acting like that. That black dude must have did something wrong for that to happen.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So especially if you don't hang around black people in general, right? If your whole circle of people is white, your whole family is white, you live in the suburbs. Like, when are you ever gonna see some shit like that? So when Warren comes up to you and is like, hey man, this shit just happened to me yesterday, and you're like, fuck, get the fuck up out of here. You're lying.
Yep.
What'd you say to the cop? What'd you do to the cop? You know what I'm saying? So that's the problem, is that white people have to like really learn about racism and really sit there and take a step back and look at themselves and be like, how am I contributing? How am I benefiting from racism in America?
You know what? I agree with you, but let's keep it a buck. 99% of white folk, they don't give a fuck because they don't care. They're so used to it being, the last 450 years, they're so used to them being in control. When a black person be like, bro, that's hella racist, bro. White folk, the dominant white society is so good at trying to make average black folk feel guilty about bringing up racism.
Not only guilty though, but they'll make you seem to be the racist.
Thank you. Or they'll play that's racist. Like I said, you don't think I've had dominant white society dudes be like, well, black people can be racist, and I don't say nothing. See, the old one would be like, how? But the new one is like, go on. Tell me, what do you mean? And then they get to talking and divulging how they really feel. And then once they tell you how they feel, you just be like, that's interesting. Just like I've had people be like, well, all lives matter. And I'm like, do you think that they're talking about all lives don't matter? Do you guys know what 450 years of oppression, redlining, gentrification, lynching, castration? Like, because
that's exactly my point, man. That's exactly my point when I say, yeah, Asian people shouldn't be hated on, Native Americans shouldn't be hated on, all these groups should not be hated on. But at the same time, man, if you're not going to fix the problem with black people, then why are we focused on all these other people and ignoring black people, right? Same thing with the All Lives Matter. If you ain't saying all lives matter, or if you ain't going Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Asian lives matter, brown lives matter. If you're not specifically saying that, they automatically think that they're being excluded. It's like, man, can we say Black Lives Matter and take like a 30-minute break before you fucking come out and say, oh, white lives matter too? Because I already know my life matters. I see it every day. You don't gotta tell me.
You know, and it was it was another killing too. I was reading. I didn't want to talk about it today, and the reason why I didn't want to talk about it today is because what my brother said, it is true. He's like, nigga, sometimes I don't even want to watch your podcast because it's like,
it's depressing.
Is it another motherfucker that got killed? He said, Warren, you've literally posted on your podcast in a row like 4 people's pictures dead, gone. And that's why today I did not specifically
Since the verdict, right?
Yeah, since the verdict. He said that. He's like, since that George Floyd shit, he was like, nigga, he's like, watching your podcast sometimes it's like reading Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's The ISIS Papers. Because when I read it and I told him to read it, I remember he called me. He kind of got mad, man. He like, damn, I got to find that voicemail. That shit was funny, man. I'm going to start putting them voicemails on my beats because his shit is funny. He was like, nigga, what kind of shit you got me reading, my nigga? Like, this shit, he's like, I got to put it down. Mm-hmm. He's like, I gotta put it down, man. I got to take a break. I need to drink me some mango scotto and take me a little smoke break. It is.
So something happened to me when I was like 6 years old, man. I ended up going to a barbershop with my friend and his mom and his brother. We walk into the barbershop. His mom opens the door for us. I'm the first one in the thing. I got my 2 friends behind me, and she's in the back of us. And literally the entire barbershop stopped and looked. Like, everybody just stopped. People cutting hair was like, oh, shit.
Yep.
And I tell white people about that still to this day. And a lot of the response I get from white people is, oh, see, and that you don't think that's racism? And I say, no, I think that's the effect of racism, because there was so few white people, if any, that had walked into that barbershop before that day that they couldn't believe what the fuck they were seeing.
Yeah.
Is this kid kidnapped? Do I got to call the police? Are the police about to show up at my place? Like, what's going on right now?
That's real.
But they all look at that like, oh, see, they didn't like the white kid walking up in there. No, it was just so rare that everyone was like, what do we do?
Yep.
What's going on?
No, I see that even at my barbershop today, man. You know, shout out to P Fly, but at my barbershop, in barbershops, you know, I remember when he was at another barbershop, and it's very true. Black folk are very skeptical a lot of times because they don't know what you own. And we are the most accepting race. I don't care what nobody says. We'll accept. You cannot go to a black family and they will show prejudice and don't want you around if you dating a cousin, or they don't do that. We don't do that. We are the most accepting race out of everyone. We are the most hated race out of everyone. You know how many times? By far. That's why when I would see other races come in, I remember it was cut above the rest, or whatever. It's on Alexander and MLK, right down the street from Silver Mason. Everybody know where that was. It used to be right there. I've been getting my hair cut there for years, when I get my nappy shit cut. But I remember it'd be white dudes that'll walk in there. I remember a white dude walked in with his girl, and you know, and you could tell he had been around black folk because there was a confidence, not an arrogance. You know what I mean? I think somebody else was waiting. He was waiting to meet somebody else up there, but he was gonna get his hair cut too. So, you know, he brought his girl, and there's nothing but niggas in there. But he wasn't like worried. He was like, yeah, man, I'm here to see such and such. Hey, man, you think you can fade me up? And I watched it the whole time. And as I'm watching it, me and my barber was like, shit. White boys in there, they trying to get the cuts too, Warren G, man. Fuck that, man. Them niggas like, we got to come to the black barbers to get our shit looking right. It wasn't no, but at the beginning, niggas did look at him like, what you on? Right. You know, you running from somebody? You got a beef with somebody? Is the motherfucking police finna come in here and get the tripping? You're right. But after he introduced himself to the barber that he was told, you should have saw the whole room. Everybody just went right back to what they was doing. At first, everybody was quiet. Not because they were scared. They were just like, what you on? Mm-hmm. And then once he was like, oh, yeah, woo-woo told me, you know, I can come, you know, with you, man. I want to get a fade, woo-woo. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, woo, okay, yeah, for sure, man. Just have a seat, man. You know, woo. They introduced themselves to this girl, woo, sat down. And then everybody went back to like, it was just kind of like, stop. Mm-hmm. And then, all right, and then everybody went back to cutting hair. And after that, I had constantly would see him in there. He'd be with his girl, not with his girl, very respectful. But you can tell. Then there would be other white people that would come in there and Latinos that would come in there. They would look uncomfortable at first. But then once black folk know what you on, because see, when you walk into a barbershop and you don't really know nobody, most barbers are just gonna be like, hey man, what's going on, bro?
Right.
You know, not like on no rah-rah shit, but hey man, what's going on? You good?
Right.
You here to see somebody? You need to cut?
Right.
All right, hey man, go ahead, man. I got 2, I got woo. Hey man, how many you got? Okay, hey man, whoever get up next, man, we got you, bro. Just go ahead, sit down, man. And then they'll get back to chopping it up. And it's very, you know what's so funny, man? I'm gonna tell you off here, don't let me forget to tell you this. It was an idea, but I'm not gonna say it on here. And I think you will like that shit too, because when I saw their reactions at this barbershop, it was just like, wow. Me and Pat, because he was cutting my hair, P-Fly was cutting my hair, and the whole time he just was just like, man, and he kept saying, shit, town business, but shit, motherfuckers can't say that. Niggas is racist though. We accept everybody, Warren G. He just kept saying that as he cut my hair. We accept everybody, Warren G. Because it's true. He was like, we accept everybody. But nigga, we can't go up in no motherfucking barbershop in Summerlin and not get the stares and what do you need? And you know, do we need to grab our cut? You know what I'm saying? So
this barbershop is pay first before we start.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But no, at 6 years old, man, the coolest thing I had seen up until that point was my friend getting a Nike sign in his hair. And I was like,
oh yeah, those was the shit.
I want that.
What's this, like 2005, 6?
98.
98, okay.
I was like, man, this is the shit right here.
Yeah.
So I went. That's the whole reason why I went. I was like, man, I'm about to get this shit. The dude's like, I'm not doing it in this kid's head, because he's talking to my friend's mom. He's like, nope, I'm not about to have this kid's mom up in here giving me fucking problems.
Yeah.
And I was dissing him at the time at 6. I was like, man, you scared of my mom? Like, oh, man. So everyone's laughing. I got everyone laughing. But growing up, I'm like, man, out of 100 white kids, I guarantee you at least 95 moms are going to show up at that barbershop.
And why the hell you do that to my hair?
What the fuck? That's not how I wanted my son's haircut.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't blame him. You know what I'm saying? Even though at the time it was funny, we were all like dissing each other or whatever, but at the same time it's like, nah, man, he has a valid point. I wouldn't want no problems either.
Yeah, you know what's, that's funny you say that. In the 90s, the Swiss sign, swirls, parts were like really big then. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I was just having this conversation. I remember in the 90s growing up, you know, when you grow up in the 90s, we really set the standard. Think about it. It's all coming back to that. The flat tops, the natural hair, the afros. It all returns back to its origin. Now, back then, I used to get fades a lot. I used to get fades and get parts. And I remember one time, my brother took me to this barbershop, to this barber in L.A. He took me to this barber in L.A. because when I used to live in West Covina, he was like, I'm going to take you to my boy. This dude can cut hair like a motherfucker. Like, this dude was a genius at cutting hair. And he was like, you want a design? And I was like, yeah, man, you know, whatever. And he gave me a swirl. And that shit, I got so many compliments off that swirl because it looked like he literally put a stencil in my head and then drew around it. Right. It looked fake as fuck, but it looked dope. Man, I was getting girls. Everybody was like, damn, who cut your hair? He had the fade crisp too. And I'll never forget, Latinos started coming up to me like, man, how they do your hair like that? Because it was the changing of the guard. Back in the day, especially the 80s, mid-90s, Mexicans and other races didn't get their hair cut like black people. Because, you know, that was kind of like a cardinal sin. Like, nah, we're not going to get our hair cut by no fucking black people. Fuck them mayates and all this other shit. But by that time, it was so many Latinos coming up to me like, man, how they do your hair like that, bro? Like, that shit is tight. I remember one kid went and got his mom and was like, could I go to his barber? Like, I want my hair cut like that. Because, you know, in California and out here, they will categorize haircuts by what guard you have. Oh, you got a 1. Oh, you got a 3. You got a 4. Black people don't talk like that. Black people say, oh, you got an S curl. Oh, okay, you got a fade. Oh, you got a taper. Right. Oh, okay, yeah, they tapered you up real fresh. Okay, I see oh, you got a bald head fade. Oh, okay, you got a lineup. That's how we talk. Right. So when a motherfucker used to be like, did they give you a 1? I'm like, what the fuck is that? He was like, a 1, you know, like a 1. I'm like, bro, I don't know what the fuck you talking about, nigga. And so all true, the black people, shout out to my nigga, man, I gotta find my nigga David Brock, man, my nigga DJ, man. We used to be laughing at them because they used to be like, did you get a 1? I'm like, hey, my nigga David Brock used to be like, hey, Warren G, did you get a 1, my nigga? Did you get a 1? He's like, nigga, they don't know nothing about no motherfucking bald head fade, nigga.
Right.
But did you get a one?
Right.
He's like, nigga, and then I had started, I was like, I want to grow my hair out. I want to get a taper. And then I just started growing my hair out and getting tapers, and the line would be crisp. And they would always be like, how they do that shit like that? Now you fast forward to 2021, I see every other racial group. Like Chad Johnson, when he did the mohawk with the blonde hair, not the blonde hair with the brown, you know how many people was doing that?
Right.
Ocho Cinco.
Right.
Then you got, what's the brother that was on the New York Giants?
Odell.
Beckham. He had the long earring like Barry Bonds
Yeah.
with the blonde shit. How many people did that? How many people's doing that now?
Everyone's doing
Everybody's doing that now.
Right.
We are the trend setters. And the reason why I knew that is because
And not to mention that my old barbershop, there was a Hispanic dude that could really cut now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, exactly. Well, to me, no diss, but every other racial group has co-opted our art form.
Right.
Haircuts that's our art form. That's not nobody else's. That's our shit.
Going back to what Claude Anderson says, man, we love the black culture,
But don't nobody want to be black.
but no one wants to be black.
Yep, don't nobody. They love black culture to death. They'll study it. They'll dress. Bro, I remember one time, man. I can say it now. I remember I was in high school, bro. And see, I grew up as a church kid.
That's another thing, man. A lot of white people listen to rap music and hip hop and think that they're not racist too.
They the most racist motherfuckers, man. They the most. You ask them anything, they the most racist. I remember growing up, right? Because we go to church. Black people, most black kids, they go to church. Go to church, you dress up. Now, living in LA first and then moving to West Covina, but we going back and forth to LA damn near every day.
Mm-hmm.
I got family, cousins. I'm going to Watts. I'm going to South Central. I'm going to Compton. My family's all out there. I'm going to West LA. My old house is in West LA. So you see the fashion.
Mm-hmm.
LA is like the mecca of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about not Diamond Bar, not DeWardy. You go to LA, that's the fashion.
Mm-hmm.
That's where everybody dressed, the Jordans, the Nautica. So I was already on Nautica, Polo. I was on all that shit. Like Robinson's May, man, I used to go to Robinson's May every fucking weekend just to see like the bubble polo jackets and Ralph Lauren, because that's what was the style. If you had a bubble Ralph Lauren jacket or a polo jacket, I'm not talking about US Polo. I'm talking about that shit say Ralph Lauren, and people can see that shit. Niggas used to people used to wear polo jeans, tuck in their shirt where you could see the polo pocket.
Yeah.
So niggas could know like these is polo because that's what was the style then. I remember this dude that went to my high school, this white dude, was like, man, where you get your clothes from? I was like, I just go to like Robinson May because I was wearing like Nautica shirts with the motherfucker was hitting the golf ball with the Nautica all fresh. And he was like, where you get those clothes from? I was like, bro, I just go to like Macy's and Robinson's May and shit, man. I go to LA a lot of times to get my clothes too. And I had like Nautica, Polo, Timberlands. Timberlands is a New York thing, but hey, Timberlands look fresh with those clothes. He's like, all right, nigga, the next time I went to school, this nigga had Nautica Polo, and I was not feeling that shit. Like, I didn't like that shit at all. And it was another homeboy of mine, Latino brother, my nigga named Faustino. He lived around the corner from me. He was like one of the first niggas to be like, bro, they haters, Warren. Like, he told me that, and the nigga right here, R.I.P. to Keon, he was way younger than me. He was like, don't fuck with them niggas, man. They haters. These niggas watch what you do and then copy you and then talk shit about you. He saw it. And then my Latino homeboy Faustino, he saw the same shit. He's like, bro, them motherfuckers is haters, dog. He's like, they biting your style. You know what I'm saying? They want to listen to Wu-Tang, listen to Timberland, and listen to everything, and then try to critique what rap is good rap and not. And these are white people and Asians, and I just used to be like, man. And I remember one time I said, who told you that you was the judge of what real hip hop is? Well, I'm just saying that's not real hip hop. Well, you find me one person that looked like you that's real hip hop. That was before I was reading. And he couldn't say nothing. He just was like, well, I'm just saying. I'm like,
But society told him that.
Exactly.
You have to dominate every area
of activity. 9.
So when you look at rap and you go, man, there's no white dude that kills. As soon as Eminem comes, he's the best.
Yep.
Because we always have to feel like we're on top.
And you know what's and I've said this, and I go pretty hard on Eminem about that. Look, man, I was the biggest Eminem fan because I felt like he was bringing something different for the culture. What I didn't like about...
You could be an Eminem fan, but like Snoop Dogg said, he's not the top 10.
Exactly. And what I didn't like about that whole situation was, nigga, You are a guest in hip hop, like Lord Jamar said, and you're not the top 10. And you know that. So why you sitting up here getting mad because you know what? Eminem has had a lot of ass kissing motherfuckers around him. That's all that is. He got a lot of ass kissing motherfuckers around him. But I want you to go watch this, The Untold Story of Detroit Hip Hop by Champtown. Go on Amazon Prime and watch that shit. He's got rare uncut footage of Eminem. And Eminem wasn't acting like yo. He was acting like one of them typical corny ass white boys. And he got that song that shout out to Irv Gotti and them that he tried to get wiped off the internet. I remember I had played it for somebody because they was like, why you be going hard? I was like, this is why I go hard on him. He never apologized. Calling black women niggas and black women are dumb and ignorant and monkeys and all this other shit. People don't know that. Nobody knows that, and nobody ever looks him in the face and say, hey man, I don't appreciate that, bro. I don't care how you was back then. I don't fucking appreciate that. And until that happens, he's still gonna feel like he can say shit to people like Snoop. How dare you say something to Snoop? Snoop was a triple platinum artist when you was trying to make it at the hip hop shop in Detroit. Right. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't even have a right. Snoop is a rap guy. Right. But everybody has told him that, oh man, you the best and all this other stuff. And that, you're right. Society has told him that. And I remember when him and Lord Jamar was going at it.
But I don't even think Snoop was saying like he was one of them. I just think he was like, man, rock him. Like, and
he was going through. Bro, you're not even fucking with Corrupt, nigga.
Corrupt's bad, y'all.
You're not fucking with Corrupt. Corrupt dissed the whole East Coast, nigga. He just the shit. R.I.P. to DMX, but he got DMX on that shit right there. That nigga was going in. And nigga, you're not fucking with Exhibit. You're not. These are just black artists that didn't get the same opportunity. It's the old adage like Isaiah Thomas said. He said, if Larry Bird was black, he'd just be another basketball player. Right. So what are y'all saying? And what they didn't like about Larry Bird, remember I told you this before? I'm going to tell you again. You know they don't never talk about Larry Bird like that. They'll talk about George Mikan. Mm-hmm. They'll talk about Brent Barry's dad. They'll talk about Jerry West. They'll talk about Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, but they never talk about Larry Bird. Pete Maravich, but they don't never talk about Larry Bird like that. Do you notice that? Yeah. You don't never notice that shit because Larry Bird went off cold, was like, the black players are better than the white players. They didn't like that because Boston is a racist motherfucking city as fuck, and them white people was mad at his ass about that shit. Like, why would you say that? But Larry Bird knew behind closed doors, like, man, we can't fuck with these motherfuckers. Right. These motherfuckers is kicking our asses. And then by the time Jordan came on the scene, it was just like, all right.
And they had Bill Russell for a long time, and Bill Russell was like, I ain't fucking with this city.
Thank you.
They hate a bunch of racists.
These are a bunch of racist motherfuckers, man. Yep. So it's like, when you look at that shit, you're right. I know a lot of people that listen to rap and hip hop and R&B. Remember I told you about, I ain't gonna say this person's name. They were showing me all these pictures when they had their Jordans on and they hip hop hats and all this other stuff. But then they gonna turn around and tell me, you know, but black people could be racist too. I was like, even though racism is an institution, it's a team sport. People don't think it's a team sport.
But like you said, man, it's prejudice, and everybody's prejudiced. I mean, literally everybody. All right, who's a dog prejudiced against? Cats. Who's a cat prejudiced against? Dogs. Like, everybody's prejudiced. That doesn't mean they're racist, right? Dude, you have to have a system. I love what Tariq Nasheed said, man. Even if a black person says something about a white person, there's still a system that backs up that white person.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no system that backs us up. So we can say cracker and all this other shit, honky. That doesn't mean anything when a white person can call the police and have me assassinated. That's power. Right. When a girl could be choking her dog to death talking about, I'm in fear for my life. This black guy, he's threatening me on camera.
So let's go back to the cops for a second, man. Because a lot of people say they need more training. We need to put more money into training for cops. My thing is with that is that they're being trained now, and they still fucking up left and right. So you have that one lady that pulled the gun when she was wanting to pull her taser, supposedly.
What about Amber Geiger?
I don't know if I believe that, but that's what she said she was doing. Now you got a cop that's pulling his gun when he probably should have pulled his taser with Micaiah Bryant. So if that's the case, don't even have any training at all. Just give them the gun and be like, all right, man, you're good to go.
Yep. Well, that's what they're doing anyway.
That's what they're doing anyway. But that's my thing is, like, if they're going through this police academy and learning how to use all these different tactics to put somebody down, and you got a 15-year-old with a knife and you can't even deal with a 15-year-old, I don't know if we should have cops, to be honest with you.
Well,
I'm not saying we shouldn't have nothing, but we should definitely rethink how we're doing things.
but you know what?
But that's the thing. You say you shouldn't have cops, and people just automatically assume it's the way it is now. So you just want people to rob, steal, and murder people? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to rethink what it is.
Yep.
Let's not call it cops. Let's call it something else where a group of people can get the same type of equipment and backing and have them do something a little bit better than what's going on now, because it's like you said, there's been 4 people just since the verdict, man.
That's
just
why
since, since the verdict.
And you know somebody else got killed. I'm gonna talk about it tomorrow.
And we haven't seen the sentencing yet on Derek Chauvin, so I'm still waiting to see that.
He's probably gonna get 2 years. I'm telling you, Officer Yanez shot in that car and killed Philando Castile, and could have shot and killed his daughter on fucking Facebook Live. That nigga didn't go to prison. You don't even know where he is. Nobody knows where these people are. Look at fucking Darren Wilson. The motherfucker said Mike Brown was like, he was so powerful, he was like Hulk Hogan grabbing a baby. Stop, man. Stop. Don't even get me started. It's like the stories that they make up. Walter Scott. I mean, literally, if nobody was there to catch that, he shot that motherfucker in the back and then planted a gun there. And guess what? He would have got off scot-free, no pun intended, but he didn't know he was being filmed. And that's the thing that kind of tripped me out, because I was just like, well, why would you do that? Like, that's my only thing that I don't understand, is why would you, in my honest opinion, why would you tell black folk that there is no racism in America and America is not a racist country, when clearly we're looking at it every step of the way,
or
every turn?
Why do you respond when someone brings it up and you say, oh, well, a lot of white people are getting shot by the police? Well, we did the math the last 2 podcasts. There's 41 million black people here. There's like 220 million white people here. So on a scale, of course there's more white people getting shot because there's more people. But as far as a percentage, there is a bigger percentage of black people getting shot if you relate it to how many people are actually in America than white people.
Think about it like this.
Because guess what? If you're white, you know damn well, and you're lying if you say otherwise, you do not have to worry when you get pulled over by the police.
Exactly.
You do not have to worry when the police are getting called to your house. You're sitting there like, sir, right here.
Yep.
Sir, it was him.
Yep.
It was that dude right there. You live in a life of privilege, and you're so privileged that you don't know your privilege.
Well, think about the corporate plantation. Look at the corporate plantation, how it's designed. You go to human resources, all human resources does is have the department head do, I would say, an investigation on what's going on. But if they're white and the human resources people are white, and you're the only black person that's asking for someone to do the investigation, they're gonna all be on code.
Let's say for instance though, that there's like a black dude or a black female in the HR, and she gets in charge of either investigating your claim or putting the person that should investigate the claim on whatever you're saying, right?
Yeah.
They have white people surrounding them that are looking at them like, you better make the right decision on
this. Yes.
Or you're gonna lose your job.
Talk about it. Look, let me tell you something, man. I always say this because it talks about it. I got to show you that book, the United Independent Maximum Compensatory Counter Racist Code by Neely Fuller Jr. He talks about that shit. Everybody at the job that's in a position of power at the corporate plantation is white. Mm-hmm. So even when you start filing claims and all that, just go into victim mode. But even when you go into victim mode, when they do those investigations, it's internal. It isn't like they have an outside investigation firm that's dedicated, that those directors and VPs and people that don't know. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times your department heads are like this with human resources. Mm-hmm. So that's why nothing gets done. It's just like outside of the corporate plantation, just like politics. It's just like law enforcement. We're going to have an investigation. Well, when you tell me the FBI is going to come investigate, this is what I think of. Mm-hmm. I think of this book when you tell me the FBI is coming out to investigate. Right. So why would I even believe you? Right. This is the book that I'm showing, by the way. Because if you tell me the FBI is coming, the first thing I think of is J. Edgar Hoover, 40 years, COINTELPRO, seeking to destroy the next black messiah. orchestrating the assassination of Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, all the other Black Panther leaders. Come on, bro. Like, you expect me to be like, oh, things have changed. No, they have not. Go on your corporate plantation and you can say, hey, man, I feel like this is some racism going on. They don't take that shit serious. They act like you crying wolf.
Right.
But the people that are in charge, for the most part, are inherently racist. They're inherently racist. They want to pick black folk apart. Even you can come in there and say nothing and just do your work. You could be a mute and be the best worker they've ever had. But since you ain't smiling and telling about the gun line boss and hey, he's a boss and telling all your personal business.
Now you have an attitude problem.
Now you got an attitude problem. And I only see it with black folk. I don't never see it with nobody else.
This is the thing though, man, is that they also know when they're that high up that if somebody's investigating this department that's 5-6 levels below you, and all of a sudden someone says, yeah, actually there was racism in this instance, all of a sudden, guess what? Everybody's gonna be looking at you now.
Yep.
Everybody's gonna be looking at every single department going, we need to investigate this whole thing. And they know that. So you know what? Let's say no to this one and no to that one and no to this one. And so it's never a problem with us.
Yep. And if that happens at the court plantation, what do you think happens when they investigate law enforcement? You know, in 2006, there was a report that came out that law enforcement has been infiltrated by white supremacists, KKK. Mm-hmm. They have their own gangs within law enforcement. So why would you think that come on, bro? If George Bush and Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan will allow crack cocaine to come into this country illegally to fund a war, get a black person to sell it to other black people, you can keep selling as long as you don't pay people's mortgages off and buy properties for people. You can do whatever you want. And then when you get caught,
not only that though, but also as long as you get as big as we want you to get,
and that's it,
and not going any higher too.
And then if you get caught, it never traces back to George W. Bush, right? But then on the front end of it, you got Nancy Reagan talking about just say no, bro.
Yeah, right.
Just say no. Just say no. When y'all was bringing the drugs to the communities, destroying the communities, and then sitting up here and acting like they didn't destroy the shit. And then when a motherfucker be like, I'm gonna tell you what I think, white people start getting on crack. That's when they was like, all right, we gotta do something about this shit. We're gonna penalize the majority of the black folk, but we can't have all these white people getting on crack. Right. And look at now, it's the opioid epidemic. So when you look at opioids or whatever the fuck it is, you associate white people with that. But when you look at crack, heroin, you only associate black people with that. And then weed is still looked at negatively because I think it was Marvin Scott. They was serving him. He was in the county for a weed warrant. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure. They killed the motherfucker in the county jail. Just killed him.
Yep.
Then there's like, oh, well, we're not releasing the footage. They like, wait, what you mean, bro? They killed Sandra Bland. And then she got like 1.7 million, and they was like, oh, and 700,000 of it is gonna go to police reform. Then after you take the taxes off that 1.7, give them that 700,000, then you give the lawyers your cut, you got about $600,000, maybe if that. After you taxes, probably about $350,000 for your daughter being killed.
Right.
Just like Eric Gardner, he got choked by Officer Pantaleo, knowing that was a movie he shouldn't have fucking done. He was allowed to stay on a police department while they investigate for damn near 5 years. You know why? So he can collect his pension.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I like what Chris Rock said. He always has this thing where, the justice system should be like Walmart. If you can find a lighter sentence, we'll match it. Because me and Warren could do the same exact thing at the same exact time. Unfortunately, he's going to get a lot more time than I'm going to get.
Yep, and that is
every
a fact. Bro, I don't know if you remember, I did this podcast. You probably didn't see this one. It was about when I had jury duty. Oh, my God, man.
I had it one time.
And I had jury duty. It was so many illegal immigrants in there and white people. It was hardly any black people in jury duty.
But why though? Because they're arresting majority black people, so they don't want anything to mess up their system.
Man,
if you get on a jury and the suspect's black, you're gonna be like, hold up, wait, no, actually, my brother did that shit one time. Like,
Yeah.
I always allude to like bank robbery, right? If you don't know anyone that ever robbed a bank, you ain't gonna understand that. But all of a sudden, if your son robs a bank, all of a sudden you're gonna look at another bank robbery and be like, oh, you know what? He was just having money issues. He was having down, he was having a lot in life, whatever it was. Same thing with that, right? So if crack cocaine is being distributed in the 80s, you got Nancy Reagan and Ronald Reagan like, oh, we don't understand this. All of a sudden you have their kid doing it. Not saying their kid, but I'm just saying, you start having white people's kids start doing it. All of a sudden you're like, oh no, they're just sick.
No, that's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a
okay,
fact.
I understand it now. So you end up having, and it goes back to everything. Supposedly we're integrated, right? But we're so segregated still. We're still like putting off in the suburbs, the west side, North Las Vegas, east side. Like, we're all so segregated and we don't fucking intermingle. We'll never get over it, man. This shit will never stop.
Well, it's not gonna stop anyway, because the system that's put in place is for it not to stop. That's why when I went to jury duty and it was a brother that was my case, I've never seen so many Latinos in there that didn't want to be there. Speaking Spanish? They kept saying that because they didn't want to be there. And I'm like, black people need to see this shit. It was so many Latinos in there. And it was me and his sister. She was from Detroit. And we talked the whole way back to the parking garage. And we both was trying to get on there. Not so I could miss work, because it was a brother. It was a brother. And he didn't have his own lawyer. He had public defender. And then they had the district attorney. And they walk you in there and they tell you about the case and tell you everything. And I ain't gonna lie, when he saw me, I did that. If I get on, not guilty. I don't care if y'all do got him on camera.
It only takes one person.
It only takes one person. And I know they knew that because they was picking people off. And it was a brother that actually got on the jury, but he was arguing with the judge. And because they ask you questions like this, Nick. They'll ask you questions like, have you any family members that have committed crimes and woo. If you've been to jury duty, he was like, well, yeah. And she was like, well, how do you feel about that? He was like, I feel like he was unjustly arrested. And it was like, and then the prosecution was like, can you please excuse juror number such and such? Because he didn't get the game. The game is, nope, I ain't had nobody like that, not to my knowledge.
But why is that though, Warren? It's the same thing we were talking about with the HR. If we can get, let's just say we get one black person on our jury, right? There's what, 12 people, 8 people?
12 people.
There's 12 people. And there's probably 10 white people and 1 Hispanic. And all of a sudden, Warren's at the end down here, and Warren's like, actually, I don't agree with this shit. What they want is they want the other 11 other people to be like, no, we're going to put so much pressure on you by the end of this that you change your mind, because we're all going to be staring at you going,
yep,
OJ killed a white person.
Yep.
Come on, you can't say no. You know what I'm saying? That's how they do it.
But my thing that blew my mind was, it was so many Latinos in there that could not speak Spanish that were probably immigrants.
It's a joke, man. Like,
it is.
It's a joke because you have, I mean, even white people, oh, I'm just going to say I'm insane. So
yep, because they don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it, man.
Because they don't want to do it. So my thing is always this. Why do you have all these Latinos that can't even speak English? And this no diss to the Latino community. I always tell them this. I told some Latinos this. I said, so you mean to tell me I can go to Mexico, not be from Mexico, and sit on the juror for El Chapo?
Right.
You think that'll happen? You think I'd be killed before they let me get to that juror? They wouldn't let me get to the jury box. They'd be like, nigga, you're not Mexican.
Even policing them. You wouldn't be able to police them.
I wouldn't even be able to police them. Only in the United States of America, people could come here for free because they didn't build the country, get handed natural resources, and then turn around and shit on black people. Like I told you, I remember one time, like I told you, this Latino girl, she was a nice looking Latino girl, long time ago tonight. She was like, oh, you just can't come to my house because my dad don't want me dating black people. I said, oh, I didn't want to go to your house anyway, but nah, I'm good. I was young. I was like, nah, I'm good. She was like, oh, why? I was like, because why would I want to be around somebody and I'm not even accepted? I'm good.
Same thing with that movie you just had me watch, Doubting Thomas.
Oh my God. Did you watch that movie, bro?
The stepdad basically said, like, hey, if I found out you were black, 25, 30 years ago, I would have left.
But what did the mother say to him? What did she straight said? She was like, tell me, look, first of all, in the movie, which is a true story, the white girl didn't know she was black. Because, you couldn't really see the genes like that.
She kind of had like a Meghan Markle look.
Yeah, she had like a Meghan Markle look. And people didn't know that Meghan Markle was black.
I didn't know.
So, I could tell. She just a red bone. So, the baby comes out. Why you think I text you? Man, when I saw that shit, I was dying laughing. That white dude should have got an Oscar because he exemplifies how most white people would have reacted. Mm-hmm. Where's my baby? Right. That's not my baby. Right. Then he corrected himself and said, not that this is not a gorgeous baby, but right. Is my baby in another room? Right. What's going on? Right. He couldn't fucking believe it.
And supposedly his best friend was black. So,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's my whole point, man. Don't just trust white people because they're surrounded by black people. Really see what they do on a daily basis, man.
Yep.
Because he even says, I don't want my baby to be black.
Sure did.
He straight up said
it. He said it to that girl. And then she was still.
And I'm like, you know what? Like, is he saying it because he's more focused on what because they basically are trying to set it up like she cheated with his best friend.
Yeah.
That's how they're trying to set it up the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, is he saying it because he's so focused on her, or does he really feel like that? But you literally just said it. So now I have to take you at your word of what you say. Yep. You do not want your baby to be black. And at the end of the movie, it's basically like, oh, well, he doesn't care. He, look inside the envelope and he burns it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man.
See,
like you just said, your true feelings and how you really feel.
Exactly. And let me tell you this. When the girl's mom was like, I got something to tell you, because she had to say it. Because eventually they was going to do genetic testing. It was going to come out, what was going on. So basically what happened, when the mom came out the bag, she kept it a secret because she knew that white man she married was a racist too. She knew it, which to me co-signs your racism as the woman. Because if you were...
But it was also what happened to the dude that the real dad. The real dad got killed.
Yep. And
so she was like, I kind of don't want you to be involved with that either. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like you came out, everyone believed you were white, and I just left it like that.
Yep. But what did she say? Well, I didn't want you to be black, and that's that. That's what she said. I didn't want you to be black, and that's that. Well, you're a racist too, and then you're having to explain yourself, and then all of a sudden, the acting was so good in there because she was just like, oh, I loved him, and then when she wanted to talk about him, she just... So basically, you let me know you just loved him. You didn't give a fuck about black people because you would never allow your daughter to walk around not knowing that she's black until she had a baby and the baby came out black. Now you got her and her white husband looking at her crazy. That's one. And then two, your husband.
Yeah, about to say.
Then your husband. Then when she came out the bag, she went and took a swim in the pool. You know why? Because in my mind, I'm like, that white man wouldn't have been with her if he would have known that she had a black baby.
Instead of just leaving him because he was a racist, she was like, oh, I just won't tell you that my daughter's half black because you're a racist.
Exactly.
So I'm going to, once again, try to make you feel comfortable.
Yep.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
Then remember, he was like, oh, how do you know? She said, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you wouldn't have left if you'd have known that her dad was black. Tell me I'm wrong. And he didn't say nothing. And he tried to go over there. Yeah, well, things were different back then. No. How you felt then is probably how you feel now. Because if that's the case, you would have been so mad at the mom, you probably would have left her. Like, why would you do that? It would have been you and your stepdaughter against the mom. Y'all would have been calling her the racist. Like, nah, you racist as fuck. Mm-hmm. You know how much education and shit we should be teaching this girl? She's black. Woo. That's the type. That's how you supposed to be. But it all kind of played out at the end. And I liked his the best friend. That brother that played in The Wire, he said some real shit. He said, I saw that look in your eye. Yep. Just like women, old women, white women, when they clench their purse, when black people walk by them or something. He's like, I saw that look in your eye. I walk in the store. Yeah. You had that same look. Yeah. He's like, oh, I just had a lapse of judgment. He said, no, you just revealed who you were.
Right.
You just showed me who you were. Right. Remember I told you, when people show you who they are, you just got to believe them. Mm-hmm. But hey, man, that's our time, man. We went over again, don't matter. Hey, man, I appreciate everybody listening and subscribing. If you don't fuck with this channel, it's all good. If you do, it's all good. Hey, man, I'm going to try to get on tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. We'll see. But, man, I appreciate everybody listening. Nick, man, I don't know, what's this, about the fourth or fifth one? Yeah. And we getting them in, man. Yep. And I'm about to talk to you about that idea. Hey, man, y'all go research Kamala Harris and Tim Scott and see what the fuck them hoe-ass motherfuckers said talking about ain't no racism in this country. Says the bitch that ain't even claiming black but claiming East Indian, but went to a black fraternity or a sorority, whatever the fuck that shit is.
She's still gonna try to get white votes.
She's gonna get white votes. Says the black sambo ass nigga. You should know. And then Meghan McCain, oh my God, she just went on a rant about, oh my God, I can't believe people so racist. Your father didn't even vote for Martin Luther King Day in Arizona. He's the reason why they don't celebrate Martin Luther King Day, because of John McCain. People don't even know that. He's the senator that was blocking it every time. Didn't know that, huh?
I didn't even know they didn't celebrate it in Arizona.
If you watch Martin, the Martin Show, see, that's a 90s thing. You know, he thought it was his son, but it was really it wasn't his son. And the son was from Arizona. And, you know, he told his son, he said, whatever, I don't care what they say on MLK Day, stay home. Because on Martin Luther King, they don't celebrate Martin Luther King. They're one of the only states that don't because of Senator John McCain. And Scarface talks about it on, I forgot what album that is. But yeah, you can go and research it. He's the one that was blocking it every year. Every time they would come up for a proposal, and this bitch gonna talk about, oh my God, I can't believe they talk about, bitch, your dad is the biggest racist I've ever seen. So, no. But anyway, go do the research for yourself. Don't take our word for it. Handle your business. Know who you are. Stay in your lane. And don't be a telling about the gun line, Hayward Shepherd, Sambo ass motherfucker. If you talking about this country ain't racist, guilty nigga, I don't fuck with you. I'm out, man. Peace.